Hey guys, it's Sasha and I'm back with another video. So as you guys may or may not know, I'm officially a mom. I've been a mom for about 2 weeks now. So this is basically my birth video slash labor and delivery vlog. I mean, I didn't really vlog that day, but my boyfriend caught like a few clips, so I'll insert them in here as I tell my story, okay? So yeah, if you're interested, just keep watching. So basically, March 29th, which was about 2 weeks ago on a Monday, I'm in bed just, trying to fall asleep. It's around 1 o'clock in the morning and I start feeling like cramps. At first, I didn't think anything of it, but I thought they were like Braxton Hicks or whatever. I didn't think it was anything serious and I would go into labor. But as time went on, they started coming frequently. So obviously I knew there were contractions. So I downloaded this app to track my contractions. I'll insert the screenshot so you guys can see, but they weren't consistent at all. So like I would have one in 10 minutes and the next one would be in 8 minutes and the next one would be in 12 minutes and the next one would be in 6 minutes. It was like all over the place. And they would last like a minute 30 seconds, 2 minutes, so I didn't really think anything of it, but I knew I was having contractions. They were tolerable at first. So I'm still in bed, whatever. As they started coming like more frequently, I like woke up my boyfriend and told him like, you know what, I'm having contractions. I wasn't in a rush to go to the hospital at all, because I know I've heard like if you're 3 centimeters or less, they send you back home. So I didn't want to like rush to the hospital and then I would be sent back home, which is a waste of time. So I kind of just laid in bed until they started getting, more extreme. So around like 2 o'clock is when I actually got my ass up and took a shower, to relieve some pain. The thing is, the contractions weren't that bad, like the pain itself. It was the pressure. So like at the end of every contraction, I literally felt like he was gonna come out. Like it was so much pressure in my uterus, like I felt like he was just gonna pop out at any moment, and that was the thing that scared me. So I got out the shower, I'm getting dressed and stuff. My hospital bag and everything was already packed, so we're just kind of like getting ready. Obviously I'm moving slow because the contractions are coming more frequently at this time, and I'm just moving slow, whatever, taking my time. I tried to eat some food and that wasn't working. Like as I sat down to eat some food, the contractions would hit and I would be just in so much pain. So this is around 3 o'clock now and the contractions are getting more and more intense. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, maybe we should go to the hospital. So the good thing about it is that we live like literally 2 minutes away from the hospital. Like it's literally down the street. So that's why I wasn't like really in a rush, because I knew like it was right there. So as we're getting ready to go to the hospital, going downstairs or getting in the car, that's when they started coming like every 5 minutes, and it was intense at that point. I remember getting out the car at the emergency, and I literally just had to stop, and like it was so bad at that point. So we finally get to the emergency room and the nurse there is taking her nice sweet time. She's asking like, when is my due date? Oh, so let me backtrack a little bit. My due date was March 31st, which was a Wednesday. I gave birth on Monday. So I was also supposed to get induced on Monday. I had a doctor's appointment at 2 p.m. Was it 2? It was 1 p.m. I had a doctor's appointment. And I was supposed to get induced that day. So I had planned after my 1 o'clock appointment, I would just get induced one time. Obviously, Kyrie had other plans. So I just thought that was so funny. Like he literally waited till the day I was supposed to get induced to, show himself. So, they're asking me a whole bunch of questions, whatever. and I'm in pain. So my dramatic ass, I'm literally sitting down on the chair, whatever, they're like taking my temperature, whatever the case may be. And I felt like they were moving too slow for me. So I just start moaning and groaning. Like, obviously I was in pain, but I had to be dramatic so they would take me seriously, you know what I mean? So when they see that I'm in pain, they like call for a gurney and everything like that. So they brought me upstairs to labor and delivery, and they had me in I guess the triage room to basically check me and examine me to see how far I was dilated. So once they checked me, I was already 5 centimeters dilated, which I was so happy about because for the most part I labored at home and I was able to dilate a lot. Yes, I was 5 centimeters dilated once I got to the hospital. So they're like, yeah, you're having this baby today. So at that point, yeah, my contractions were coming literally every 5 minutes. And I couldn't, I mean, the pain, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, because the contractions lasted about a minute or less than that. So when I didn't have a contraction, I was fine, like I was good. But once the contraction hit, that's when I was just like, I don't know if I could take this, you know what I mean? So and then the pressure at the time was just ridiculous. Yeah, so once they told me I was 5 centimeters or whatever, I kind of stayed in bed, stayed in that room for like half an hour, and then they transferred me to the actual delivery room. So I'm trying to think of what happened. One thing I can remember is I was starving. Remember, I didn't eat until like 10 p.m. the day before. You know, I tried to eat before I went to the hospital and it was not working. So I was starving. Like, I literally was like asking them for food. They told me I couldn't eat. All I could eat was ice chips. I couldn't even drink water or have any kind of beverage, which I was annoyed about. Like, I was hangry, okay? So while I'm in the labor and delivery room, I decided that I wanted to take the epidural at this point. It was around 4 going into 5 a.m.
Big belly mama. The prince is almost here. If y'all ever think about getting pregnant, this is what it looks like.
So they called the anesthesiologist for me, and he was taking his like sweet time. Like, they called him, and like half an hour he finally decided to show up. And I was kind of scared to take the epidural because they were scaring me. They were like, if you move, you're gonna be paralyzed. Like, you cannot move. Like, they were honestly scaring me. But I'm like, yeah, I can't take this pain, so I'm just gonna take this epidural. And I'm terrified of needles, but I try not to think about it. So I got the epidural. It wasn't that bad, honestly. The first needle they gave me was to numb the area, and that was like a little tiny pinch. It wasn't bad. And then I guess the actual epidural, I didn't feel anything. So the epidural for me was not as bad as I thought it would be. So I got the epidural around 5 a.m. and then, listen, it was easy breezy from then on, okay?
What you got to say?
I'm feeling good.
You feeling good? You feeling
I'm
weak?
just hungry.
Kyrie.
Kyrie's coming.
Look, phone go everywhere. Look.
Shut up. I fell asleep and woke up the next morning, and I was just still in bed. They weren't really doing anything. I guess they were waiting for me to dilate more, but I was kind of annoyed because I thought that they would come check me like every hour or whatever the case may be to see how far I was dilated, but they didn't. So I was just in bed relaxing. My feet were literally, it's crazy because I couldn't feel my feet, but my feet were numb, but they felt like they were 1,000 pounds. Like, for me to like change positions in bed, my boyfriend had to help me, the nurses had to help me like move my legs for me. Like they had literally had to pick up my legs. Like it felt like a ton of pounds, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I couldn't really feel anything. So around, I'm gonna say 1-ish is when the doctor came in to check me, and I was annoyed. I was hungry, but I wasn't in pain, which was a good thing. So yeah, the doctor came and checked me probably around 1 o'clock p.m. And mind you, I couldn't eat breakfast. I didn't have anything to eat the night before. I was starving and I was so miserable. I kept asking the nurses if I could eat something, and they kept telling me no. So all I had to eat was freaking hospital ice. Around 1 p.m. is when the doctor came in to check me again, and that's when he said that I was like 9.5 centimeters dilated. So at that point, that's when the ball started to roll, okay? So they told me to push. I guess it was like a trial push, I guess. Just for, I guess, the baby to come down into the canal. So I started pushing probably for about 20 minutes. I don't know, like when you're doing the pushing, you can't really tell time. I had my eyes closed the whole time. So to me, it was probably like about 15 minutes I started pushing the first time. So after I pushed for that 15 minutes is when the rest of the nurses came in for me to actually push the baby out. So I started pushing. Pushing wasn't hard at all. It's basically like you're just forcing a shit. I couldn't feel anything at all, so I didn't know if I was doing it right. Like I couldn't feel the bottom half of my body, but you know, the nurses were there encouraging me and telling me I was doing a good job and stuff like that. So yeah, pushing wasn't bad at all. I pushed maybe, to me, it probably was like half an hour. And finally at 2:42 p.m. is when my perfect, precious boy popped out. They just placed him on me and I was just in awe. Like I was in shock, you guys. Like it was such an indescribable feeling, but I was in shock. Like I literally just had a baby. Like I was just staring at him like, you just came from me. Like I just pushed you out. Like this is crazy. So they had him on me, you know, skin to skin. And I was nervous at first because when he came out, he was blue. And I was just like, is this normal? Like I kept asking the doctors. They kept on, you know, taking out all the mucus and stuff from his mouth and his nose and all that stuff. But he was blue and I was so scared. But, you know, they assured me that that's normal and stuff like that. But yeah, I was in shock and it was just such a beautiful moment. I looked to the left of me and my boyfriend was crying. He was tearing up. I was like, I was at the brink of tears, but I couldn't cry because I was just such in shock at that moment. You know what I mean? So after I pushed him out, I had to push out my placenta. So I did that. I mean, it wasn't as hard as, you know, pushing the baby out, but, you know, I had to push a little bit more. They took out my placenta, and then after that is when reality hits, okay? So basically, I suffered postpartum hemorrhaging after I had my baby. And what that is basically bleeding after you give birth, uncontrollable bleeding. So basically after they took out my placenta, I didn't feel anything. I remember that I can't remember if they sewed me up after they put the balloon in or before. But anyways, I remember them sewing me up. I couldn't feel anything. I saw the thread and the needle, but I didn't feel a thing, which was amazing. So yeah, after I pushed him out and after my placenta came out, it was kind of a scary experience, okay? I seen the doctors, you know, doing stuff down there. I wasn't really sure what they were doing, but I had my baby on me and I was just so in awe that I wasn't really worried about what they were doing down there. But they called a code for me. So a whole bunch of nurses rushed in the room. Doctors rushed in the room. And once my boyfriend had to ask the doctor, he either asked them like, is she gonna be okay, or what's happening, something like that along the lines. That's when I started getting scared, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know what the hell was going on. They weren't saying anything at that point. It was just a whole rush of doctors and nurses, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, so basically I was bleeding. After you give birth, your uterus goes back to contracting, like you're having cramps or whatever the case may be. It goes back to contract. Mine didn't, so it was just there bleeding out. I think my godmother works at the hospital. She's a PA, and that's one of the main reasons why I gave birth at the hospital, because I knew she would be there. And it's funny because literally right after I gave birth, I think she had came in right after that. No, she came like around 3-4 o'clock. So she was basically explaining to me like what had happened. So yeah, my uterus didn't go back to contracting. I think the top half had, but the bottom half wasn't. So it was just bleeding out, and it was soft and just bleeding. So what the doctors did is they put a Bakri balloon inside my uterus to drain out all the blood. And they also inserted like 5 pills up my butt for, I can't remember exactly what it was for, but I know it was to, help stop the blood or whatever the case may be. I didn't feel anything, that's the good thing. But I know I was bleeding a lot. And once they got the bleeding under control, they explained to me what happened. After that, I was basically on bed rest. So the good thing about the hospital that I gave birth in is they don't have a nursery, so the baby is always in the room with you. Kyrie was there with us the whole time. I was breastfeeding him, stuff like that. And yeah, so for the whole rest of the day, we were just in the room. My godmother had came in, and I wasn't in pain or anything like that. Then around later that night, probably around 1-2 o'clock is when they came in to finally take out the balloon and drain everything. Oh, I did forget this part. So after they put the balloon and everything in me, I feel like the worst part was them pressing on my stomach to like get my organs and everything down back in place. That was the worst part for me, okay? That pain was so bad. I had to like I remember holding the doctor. He was like, you can squeeze my hand. It was so bad. No, it was after they took out the balloon is when they did that. So my stomach was so tender. It was so sore. And I had to like squeeze the doctor's hand because it was so bad. They were just like pressing down your stomach. I feel like that's one of the most excruciating pains I remember. It was even, to me, it was worse than the contractions. So yeah, so they finally took out the balloon and everything like that. And then they brought me to the postpartum recovery room. And that's where I stayed until I got discharged. So the next day, which was March 30th, I had to get a blood transfusion because I lost so much blood. I think it was, I'll insert how much blood I lost because I have my chart where I can actually go in and see all my notes and stuff like that. So I'll insert it, but it was a great amount of blood that I lost. So I had to get a blood transfusion the next day. They gave me 2 bags of blood, and each bag took 2 hours. So that was an annoying process. Mind you, I still did not eat anything. After I gave birth, they told me I could eat. I tried to eat and I threw up everything. I threw up about 3 times. It was so annoying. I had like a fruit cup, I threw that up. My godmother had bought me some ribs and rice. I threw that up. When I was holding my baby, I almost threw up on him. Like, that's how bad it was. I just kept throwing up everything and I don't know why. But I was starving. I didn't eat until they brought me to the postpartum recovery room, and I was freaking scared to eat. But yeah, I had the blood transfusion, And that was an annoying process. I was bleeding, I was sore, my butt was so sore, and it was because of the pills that they brought up, and I was so scared to shit because I felt like I would have been constipated. And yeah, I'm trying to think. So I was honestly miserable in the hospital. They had to come take my blood every 4 hours, poking me up. I felt like a Capri Sun, honestly. Like, I was so over it at one point. Like, I was so annoyed. Then rewind back to after I gave birth and all the doctors had rushed in, they had to put another IV in me. So I had IV here, I had IV here, I had my epidural in my back, I had freaking to get blood every 4 hours. Like, I felt like a freaking doll, okay? After I got the blood transfusion, I ended up, I had to do tests. So they had to take my blood every 4 hours, and they had to do lab work and stuff like that, just to make sure that I was doing good, all that good stuff. And then finally the next day is when they discharged me and I was able to leave. I was so freaking happy, you guys. Obviously it wasn't that bad because I was able to leave in 2 days, which is pretty good for the state that I was in and the fact that I had postpartum hemorrhaging. But I'm pretty healthy for the most part. I don't know why that happened, but it did. But at the same time, I'm super blessed, But the recovery back, I feel like the recovery was worse than actually giving birth. To me, giving birth was not that bad. Maybe it's because I had the epidural and I was completely fine and I was, numb and I didn't feel a thing. And I was able to push it out in a timely manner, and I dilated quickly. But the recovery was the worst part. Like, when I got home, my stomach was tender and I was just so miserable, you guys. I'm not gonna even lie. And I also had 2 stitches, so it didn't burn or anything when I had to pee, but just knowing that it's there and like feeling it is annoying. Nonetheless, I have a beautiful baby boy. He's so perfect and he's so precious, and he's greedy already. He's so advanced. Like, he literally lifts up his head already, and he's 2 weeks, and he was lifting up his head like a week ago when he was only a couple days, which is crazy. Lifting up his head, he's like holding his own bottle because he's so greedy, and he's just so advanced and he's so perfect, and I can't believe we made him. And I'm just so thankful and so grateful that he's healthy and he's beautiful, and God gave me this beautiful blessing. Like, I couldn't ask for anything better, you guys. Like, that feeling of birthing a child is undescribable. Like, even to this day, I still can't believe that I'm a mom. Like, it's really crazy. Yes, I've basically just been adjusting to this mom life. I'm trying to get back to myself. This is like the first day or the second day I actually put on makeup and put on my wig and stuff like that, because I be in the house looking crazy, okay? Like, crazy. Yeah, that is my birth story, and I'm so thankful that I had such a, despite all the aftermath, what happened after I had him, I had a great labor and delivery. I had a great birth, I can say that. I didn't labor for long at all. My labor started like 1 a.m. Monday morning, and then I had him at 2:42 p.m. the same day, you know what I mean? Which is great. I'm so happy that I dilated fast. Everything pretty much went well, and I'm super blessed to have such a beautiful baby. And yeah, this journey, I felt like at the end of my pregnancy, I'm not gonna lie, I was so over it. But my baby came right on time, and I'm just so grateful to be a mom now. And this journey to motherhood is gonna be a great one, and we have so much support from our family and friends, and Kyrie is so loved already. And I'm super blessed, you guys. Super blessed. And I'm slowly starting to feel like myself again. I mean, I'm still not fully there, but I will get there in due time. And yeah, that's everything for today. If you guys have any questions or anything, you guys can always leave them down in the comment section. And I'll be back with another video, okay? Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.